Check one, check two. About to get started here shortly. That's the young version of me right there on the screen. Make sure my mic is hitting. Check one. Yeah, mic's going. Okay. Hopefully everybody's having a happy Sunday. And we're about to get started. Okay. You see it, live security plus class. I need to throw some labs in there. So let's I usually recap the week, what's going on. So let's get it going. So you see the thumbnail, Dropbox, failures, cyber attackers using Dropbox to attack aerospace and telecom. So we're just going to recap that. I don't know why people would use Dropbox in a corporate environment, but some people do it. We did a what's up, Helmet? What's up, Calvin? Glad y'all can make it. Just getting started, just kind of recapping. What's up, blind guy? His wife and their life. so, so yeah, Dropbox. It's commonly used by people, not for commercials, commercial customers or anyone. So I wouldn't use it. Once again, they were dropping malware in Dropbox and spreading it out through all the Dropbox through their API. Thanks, Calvin. Salutation. Oh man, this is going to be a good one. Dropbox, come on, man. This is short. I actually did the video. I'm just recapping what I done. You can check it in the archives of it. So I'm just going to do a high level of the couple videos I do. I kind of do a recap before class, give it time for people to file in. But long story short, Dropbox, you can use their APIs. People were spreading malware through Dropbox on their APIs. Of course, majority, I do federal work, so we're never going to use Dropbox in a federal state or any large client I'm using in, especially if you're reporting a HIPAA, FERPA, one of the big compliance agencies. We're not going to do that. So like I said, I'm going through that. What's up, Will? I'm glad you can make it. FERPA, I'm trying to do one compliance every week. So I did FERPA, which is Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. So I just kind of went over what is FERPA looking for from a cybersecurity perspective, policies and procedures to make a client to be able to operate under educational setting. Right. So I do compliance. So I decided to do all the big, probably 10 compliances. I'm doing videos on all of those. FERPA, once again, was light. I thought it was sucked as a compliance, especially for cybersecurity. So I went over the policies, procedures, what they're asking for. They actually had a security PDF. So I kind of walked through that to tell you what it needs to. To be honest, it was super light as far as security requirements. It was okay as far as what does a teacher do or a professor do or educator does when you sharing people's SSNs when a student goes from one institution to another. The other thing I learned in there, which I kind of knew, is they have psychological and health issues in kids that goes in the FERPA file. So sometimes you got to put FERPA and HIPAA together because a lot of kids have not mental issues, but ADD. They go get reviewed by a doctor and that gets put in their file. So of course you got to protect it a certain way. What's up, Before the Billions? I was on Before the Billions earlier around noon. I really enjoyed the interview. If you haven't subscribed, go check out Before the Billions. He's doing some big things. Are there alternatives to sending information, or should we avoid it altogether? There's no alternatives. If sometimes to do business or no, you get your kids' information, you got to send sensitive information. I would try to send less as I can, or not as much as I can, or the other part is when you send it, once they get done doing what they need to do with it, Stan, they should delete it ASAP right? But to do business in this world, it's going to be credit cards, FERPA, educational information, HIPAA, health information. I'm getting older. I got to go to the doctor a lot, Stan. I'm getting up there, man. So I got to go get checked out. So hopefully, we do less. Then once they get it, once they're done with that particular piece of data, that they deleted it, right? So that's what we were hoping for. This one I did. I did Facebook down. I'm very proud of that thumbnail. I've been working on my thumbnail game, but the video didn't do. But I really enjoyed it. Facebook's down. Mark Zuckerberg, come on, man. So I just kind of went through from a cybersecurity perspective, um, what that looks like. We know at the end it was an operational issue, right? Because it was the BGP border protocol man when they patched the switched the router that made Facebook go down. But when it's first happening, I've been in there. First happening, you come on, the SOC's like everything's down. So is it operational? Are we getting attacked from China? Is it ransomware? Is it a ton of attacks? Is it somebody attacking the router with some TCP/IP attack that's running through our organization? So I just kind of did it Facebook down from like I said, cybersecurity perspective. And the other part is a large organization like Facebook should have an incident response team. As part of the incident response team, you're going to practice those techniques. Like if the whole system down, who do you call? Who do you notify? Is there a government agency you need to notify? Is there a state agency you need to notify? Right. So they practice that from a huge organization. You got to think their whole routing system looked like it was down for 6 hours around the world, and they got it back up in like 6 or 7 hours. I mean, that's really fantastic when you talk about a large organization at that level, right? The only thing sucks is they do a lot of business with corporations, so when they down, I think somebody said it was like $600 million. It was some crazy amount that they lost revenue and their partners lost revenue, right? So it's important to have a DR, disaster recovery, where if the router went down, it should have actually failed over to another router, right? But I did a video. You can look on our archive. I try to do it from, like I said, a cybersecurity perspective. Then once they got into it, they figured out, right? It was a BGP protocol router. It really wasn't cyber. I mean, it wasn't a cybersecurity issue. It wasn't a hack or anything like that, right? So but like I said, I've been in it when it's happening. And you trying to figure it out. You don't know what it is, right? And two is they get attacked from around the world because they got data center around that's around the world, right? So so that's it for that. So let me bring up the class slide. So we're gonna talk about authentication and account management. You always got to log in the box. What the authentication is: username, password, MFA, token. I think somebody brought in the USB. I forgot the name it was. I know Amazon, yeah, AWS has one, right? Where you can get the hard coded USB to actually authenticate you in there. Right? Let's see, blind guy, his wife. They're like, I know you're recapping what you covered, but my question is Dropbox versus Google as far as security for big corporation. Understand that corporations use Google Drive for its security. Uh, I would actually have to do a assessment on Google. Google does do a lot of stuff with big corporations. They do a lot of stuff with Google. I know Dropbox is a no, but I need to do a. I'll put that on my list. But I got his wife. I'll do a review of a Google Drive and compare it to Dropbox and see. Like I said, I've done Dropbox and I know that wouldn't pass my security, what I need for my customers, my client at any level. So I'll take that down and do that. Do a review on that Google. I'm just off the top of my head, I think Google Drive will be okay, but I need to actually do a review on that. If I'm gonna put my name on it, I got to do a review on it. So I put that on my list. When Facebook down was like a fire drill. This is me thinking they were practicing to see and collecting our reactions, but give them a way to fight in case it happens in real life. This is me thinking they were down in real life. They were down for 6 hours, so they were down around the world. So that wasn't practicing. So I think they're. So you talking about down for how the customer gonna handle it, like us as the consumer? When you talk about the reaction of them fighting real life, but no, they were down for 6 hours with a BGP networking protocol issue. A lot of the big cloud vendors were looking at the networks across the internet because they have access to it, and I guess they know Google's PGP IPs, and they all went red. So a lot of cloud vendors were showing that on their dashboard because a lot of the big, especially security vendors, they have all the big companies and big vendors on there, so they can tell when they're actually getting attacked. So they knew all the Facebook stuff was down and it was red, so they were trying to figure out what happened. Because long story short, the internet routers were up, but PGP protocols let your internal routers be visible on the internet. Since BGP was down inside their data center, Facebook, the internet routers couldn't see them, so they just took them offline. So, because you transfer on a hop, it's called hops. How many hops it takes you to get there? So they were trying to, they kind of figured out there was no hops to get to Google. I mean, to get to Facebook. So they knew they were offline, and all their global dashboards were red. So they were down. Let's see, Calvin. They got that underwater data center fiber, so maybe submarine. That's true. Black Swan, but that's true that the data center was underwater, right? Right. But the actual routers in the underwater data center was down too. Black Swan drill maybe. Oh, true facts. Black Swan probably never happened again. So so it probably never happen again. Like I said, they're one of the top companies in the world. They practice this. I'm sure they got A/B testing where they can actually roll some of their patches out to North America or Chile or Brazil. So I'm surprised they didn't run it to a small country before they ran it over to the United States. Or maybe they did and it took 2 or 3 hours before it started cascading and kicking back and kicking them offline. But nah, like you said, Black Swan events, Calvin. They one of the top IT people on the planet. And they got consultants and some of the best IT guys, like I said, on the planet. Oh, facts, Helmer. Their stock price took a hit. I would buy it. I probably should have bought because that's a one time event. People love Facebook. They talk negatively about it, but I mean, what was it like? 60% of the world is on Facebook. It's something crazy like that. I mean, they're everybody grandma on Facebook, mama on Facebook. The kids are trying to leave Facebook. People are doing business on Facebook. A friend of mine is she's running for judge in Cook County in Chicago, and she's running her Facebook ads. She's running her political campaign on Facebook. So their Facebook is, and Facebook can target, your zip code. It can it's up to 80% perfect predicting what political party you're in. Facebook run a lot of metrics, psychological, physical, how you move. So Facebook's on top of that. That's why you're $1 billion company without charging anybody for using your product, right? You pay for the ads, but you don't pay to sign on Facebook. You don't pay to post, right? So that's Facebook, securing the bag, right? Would not like it, and it can show us the kind of career which by facts. That's true. My Vivid Life, thanks for coming. You said it right. Facebook is that facts. Yeah, let's make that crystal clear. I mean, Facebook is a data collection company, right? And they can use that data to glean items from you, right? They can tell you too is what type of person you are, who you elect, what did you like, what do you like to drink? Because when you send in messages, they're taking that data. When you driving your phone around when Facebook's open, it's taking your Facebook data, taking a triangulation so it knows where you're at, right? Because it's asks you sometimes Google and Facebook. Did you like that restaurant you were in? I didn't give you that permission to ask me what I was eating, Google and Facebook, right? Then when you check in, right, I eat high-end restaurants. Sometimes I check in Facebook, then I get ads and off of discount meals, right? Because they know what type of restaurant I eat. Like Helmut said, they're collecting data from you, right? And they charge you for that. Fact. WhatsApp too. You're right. They are collecting data, right? That's how they make $1 billion, right? Yeah. When you send messages out there, they're collecting that data, right? They're gonna say I'm not gonna pronounce it right. Anonymize it so nobody knows who you are, but they know who you are. They're rolling it up, right? They're getting that data, right? Then Facebook's on another level because that's one of the few companies for commercial, right? That knows when you're online, right? You tell it who your family is, your wife, your side chick, your girlfriend, who's your cousin is, right? You tell Facebook all of that stuff, right? It knows who you send messages to, right? If you put Valentine's Day in your message, right? I love you. Look at your ads. You're gonna start getting ads for flowers, candy, rings, right? So all of that is. I think I'm gonna do a video on that. Like I was just telling blind guy, I have not done a security review on Telegram or WhatsApp. I'm off the top of my head just reading. I'm gonna say WhatsApp, but I would like to know what servers they're running on, what encryption they're running on. Are they running on FIPS 140-2 government encryption? Are both of them in Amazon? Right? What are they in? What data centers are in Amazon are they running? So before they make that discussion, my vivid life, I need to do some research. Oh, Calvin, that's the new bag. Privacy is a new credit card. I was talking about that on Before the Billions. Uh, Somebody asked me a question. When you send an email from the United States to Canada, to Iran or something, each one of those countries has different privacy acts. So as you as a company got to understand how long can you keep that email? Can you delete that email? When a person says delete that email, can you physically delete it, or do you need to mark it as delete? Because that government might give you a search warrant to show them that email, right? So each country and even sometimes states. I've been doing work with different states that has different privacy laws. So you as a privacy officer or even computers or cybersecurity, you got to keep track of all those privacies from different states and different countries, and you got to they call it harmonizing, right? To figure out which one is best and which one do you need to follow and how when you can delete it, how long you need to keep it, and like I said, do you even get to delete it, right? I'll put that on there. I do a lot with Office 365 from Azure. I did a huge cybersecurity review on that. I have to be careful because I signed the NDA on some of the information through Microsoft. But I can tell you they have some of the best security I've ever seen as Office 365. Of course, it's Microsoft. Of course, they got infinite money, right? So Microsoft's gonna have some of the best security on the planet. Let's go and get started. I started with authentication. So, what types of credentials, authentication credentials? Where are you? Examples of military base. What do you have? Your key fob. What you are, your facial characteristics. What do you know? A combination to a health club. And what do you do? Something that proves your identity, right? So, these are different ways to, or use for authentication or put them together for authentication, right? Everybody's cool with your ID is who you are, your password, right? Validates you. But to us now, I can say if you're not in this building because of geolocation, don't let them log in, right? So I can start putting stuff together. Okay, I got your username and password. Give me your thumbprint on your laptop, right? So I can make it instead of two factor or MFA, I can make it multi-factor, right? Two factor and your thumbprint. Two factor thumbprint and put your face against it, right? So you can start depending on the level of classification of the data, right? And there, just a picture of it. Key fob, facial recognition, combination, right? Military base where you are, push-ups. What do you do, right? So, so how do you make that happen? So if I'm talking about crypto, right, and securing my cryptography in a crypto vault on a computer, I'm gonna make you do username, password, facial recognition, thumbprint, and I'm gonna try to do geolocation to the at least the zip code around my house, right? So that'd be four factors, right? Because I believe crypto is at a high level of of something I would want to secure, right? I did stuff at DoD. I've never was on it, but they were talking about nuclear material to do nuclear bombs and how do you secure that, right? So what level of classification that is, super high, right? So then what level of authentication are you gonna put on that? You're gonna put that on high, right? You're gonna do eye retina, voice recognition, right? You're gonna try to do as much as possible to secure that information, right? Users are logging into a system, asked to identify themselves. Identity is username and password. Authenticated is enter the passwords. Password is the most common type of authentication today. passwords provide only a weak protection. Actions can be taken to strengthen the password, right? Passwords so common. You got malware, you got key loggers, you got so many ways to steal a password, right? You could, I could be shoulder surfing. I could be using my phone to record what you hitting on your keyboard, right? So passwords are weak, but they are the most used authentication, right, on the planet. Let's see. Stack Overflow. I use LastPass for password management. LastPass. Cortez says LastPass good. Just don't, just don't do like the jogger use Fitbit. I want to see facts. Yeah, I actually put that. I had an interview. I brought that up. Yeah, Hillman brought that up. They were using Fitbit to jog around a super secret base, and they showed the lines jogging around a super secret base on the map for the geolocation. Then they posted on the internet, and everybody knew where the super secret base. I'm not a LastPass guy, Vivid and Cortez. I like it as security, but for me, that's the honeypot. Why is that the honeypot? Uh, all my passwords is in there, so if it gets hacked, people gonna have all your passwords, right? I'm old school where DoD they never let us use passwords, so I memorize it. I have a template, so I have like a template, so I have like this password. Then depending on the website, I take like the last two or three letters and put it at the end of the password, and depending on when I joined that website, I know the year, so I put that year on the end. So I can kind of use that template with the name and some couple other stuff to create a password. So I never have to use LastPass. I never have to use any of those passwords because if that gets hacked, and I always argue with my admin, if you got the root password on a Linux box or an admin or a DBA password, if that gets hacked and it has all your organizations in LastPass, you're toast. I'm changing my view a little bit, both of y'all. I'm just my big like Cortez. I'm old. A lot of the young guys use password management. I'm just old. The young guys are getting me changing just some of my stuff like root on Linux, DBA, and Oracle SQL Server. Those guys got to memorize those passwords because those passwords gets hacked. We're toast. So lots of USB devices might have embedded. Oh, facts, Cortez, facts. Most of the clients I work with are large. We don't let people We don't let most of the organization use USB drives. 90% of the people can't use USB drives. If you need to use a USB drive, you need to take that to your supervisor or your, I don't want to say director, somebody high level up in that organization that does work, right? So if you need USB, you need to take that. So that it might be one person over 30 people, right? Because you're right, USBs are going to get you toast. So we try to cut those. We block USBs. You got to get special permission from the security team a USB drive, and all my clients except my super small clients that I help, but all my larger clients we block USB drives. Support GPO and Windows blocked. And two is when you put them in USB drive, we automatically gonna scan them for virus protection. So the virus protection, as soon as you click it in there, you can scan for malware, virusware. So we hopefully catch any virus or malware just when you stick it in. That's just for the few people we can. So we try to take those resources on it. The weakness of a password is like human memory. I think that's what, uh, yeah, that's what my favorite was talking about. Link human memory. Humans can memorize only a limited number of items. Long, complex passwords are the most effective and most difficult to memorize. User must remember passwords from many different accounts. Each account password should be unique. And each security policy mandates password must expire. Users must uh, users must repeatedly memorize passwords. Right. So where I work at, right, you after 4 or 5 months, you got to put in a new password, right? But once again, I do government compliance, so that's going to be on a whole different level, right? And most people at my organization hate me, so um, I do DoD security, so it's going to be 14 character list, upper, lower, special characters. It's going to expire after 90 days. And if you get 5 tries to do it, after 5 tries, we lock it. You actually have to call a help desk and give them your actual employee ID and your last 4 SSN to unlock it. So all the old people were mad at me when I first came to where I work at now, but let's take security seriously. Like, let's get it. Let's see, Cowboy HD, I need biometric thumb facts, facts. My memory is not all. My Vivi, you talk to the choir. I'm 53, man. I'm 53 and aging in dog years, so I'm struggling too on that. I'm struggling. Shout out to my guy, his wife. I'm trying to get my started eating better, eating my vegetables. So I'm been working on that. Shout out to them. Okay, I'm hacking the keychain is go facts. Lock down all external port facts. Verify facts. Proof what is prof? What are you going to take on using what is your take on SSA key authentication? I love it, but that's just one part on it. I mean, because I do a lot of Linux, so we all about key authentication. We save them to a particular user. That's how we move SSH files around. So I love SSH key authentication. Of course, we only use certain ciphers. We only use AS256. I actually use AES 512. Sorry, I'm struggling. Encryption. So there's a whole list of stuff we do. Cisco V. Once again, I'm a STIG guy. So the sticks tell you how to use that and use that properly. But I'm a Linux bigot, so that's my operating system of choice. And SSH is definitely how you do business in that. The helmet after 72 days, my personal password change. Shout out to you. I like that. Change them all. That's the way to do it. I just watched a Twitch where a guy truncated a website and spelled pass. Oh yeah, Cal, you're gonna always see that. You always gonna see that. Uh, all good, Cisco B. Let me know if you got any questions. If you look on my site, I have a SIG playlist, and in that playlist, I know I did an Amazon Linux, and I went over I want to say 50 checks about how to lock down an Amazon Linux setup. So that'll definitely be in there. Often use users often take shortcut using weak password, common password, short password, password information. When attempting to create a stronger password, they generally follow predicted pattern, appending user letters, number, and punctuations, replacing users replacement with predictable patterns. That's definitely true. How we try to get around that too is we get a standard password dictionary with letters in. So if you type in certain things, we're gonna compare to like, okay, they're using these common words, so we won't let you save that as a password. Right. So there's different things that you can do for that, for trying to block people from using common passwords. And two is we save all your passwords and derivations of your passwords. So if you try to repeat some in the last 24 passwords, right, we're going to block it. Right. So we're going to kind of try to check it and make sure you kind of losing something, using something different or difficult. Right. Those are things, DOD's been using them forever. We do them. I'm an Oracle guy, so we got stuff for when you do Oracle. We got them for Linux. Uh, so we've been doing that forever. So these are some of the most commonly used passwords. They're getting a lot better. I think this slide is 3 or 4 years old. I need to update my slides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Password one. Password. So that shows you the top 10. Of course, when people give you new passwords, they usually make them spring one, fall one, winter one. So those are the common things that And I should have got it. I have somewhere I have a PDF with the 1,000 most common used passwords and derivatives of passwords. That's one thing hackers do when they steal people's PAM files or breaking databases and steal their password files. They look at those 10,000 passwords with a program to figure out combinations people most use. So when they try to get into people's site, they're using probably the top 100 passwords that they stolen from different companies, right? And how they operate. So that's quite common. Change them all. I just what KB Twitch had a hack. Yeah, I saw that hack. My man before the billions did it. They actually stole their source code. I think I'm gonna do one over cybersecurity. Because if you remember the Casillas and Solar Winds, they were talking about locking down your development environment and your source code and how you put source code in that environment. So I don't know if they hacked their source code, but they stole all their source code because they put a lot of stuff actually on the internet. Because I guess they didn't pay the money, so they dumped a lot of their code actually on the internet. So I'm thinking about doing that Twitch hack. They're just so common now. I'm like, okay. So Cortez, you heard? Yep. Yeah, true. So yeah, give me one in the chat if y'all want me to do a Twitch video from a cybersecurity perspective. There's so many out there. I was debating, like I said, if I should do it or not. I don't think they figured out the root cause of. They know they stole it, but I don't think they know how they stole it from Twitch. Like I said, I just looked a little bit of it. I haven't dug into it like the PGP. Facebook knew exactly what happened and they fixed it. It's called RSC, root cause analysis. So they figured out what that is. They actually said they got stuff in their build list so it would catch the PGP so it would never happen again. So part of your incident response is we call it post-mortem. Figure out what happened and make sure it don't happen again. So they built that all in their file. Okay, cool. I'll do one, everybody. Let's see, as a secure person, you cannot give someone else to take care of your own key. All facts. You should never. It's called what in the official term for that is non-repudiation, especially if you signing emails or signing contract with keys. A lot of keys in DoD you can sign a contract with. So it's actually on an X509 card, and that card never leaves your neck because theoretically, if they get that key there, the other cool part about those X509 cards, even if they get your card, you have a 5-digit passcode. So you have to put those together. They would have to get your key and use your 5-digit code to be able to activate your key with. So now you definitely never share your key with you. I saw one that people ask what's the internet password to test. Oh yeah, that's common. Oh, I saw a password to ask people. Oh, I got that. Yeah, that's I just got that. I just got that, Core. Yeah, but once again, that's a beautiful social engineering attack, man. Shout out to them, man. That's clever, man. And the sad part about it is 20% of your population is going to fall for that. Shout out. Yep. Root cause analysis. My vivid life. We gotta figure out what happened. We call it post mortem, and then we gotta put in stuff so it doesn't happen again, right? For every big event, where I work at, we probably have it's been where we probably have 2 events a year, and one of them's kind of big. So then we gotta get all the executive in there, and actually the CEO comes in on some of that, depending on how big it is. Because, like you said, Facebook's stock went down. When stock prices come down, CEOs come in those meetings to figure out why the damn stock price go down. So it's funny when you have the COO, CEO, and the CFO in the cybersecurity meeting because they're trying to figure out, okay, what happened? Why does stock price go down? And we better make sure that doesn't happen again because somebody don't get fired, right? So that's when the big guys start coming up to security meeting because I think they lost two, $4 or $5 billion from Facebook. It was something crazy from their stock price, $400 or $500 million. But if you look back a long time ago, Equifax, when they lost half the United States data, the CEO got fired, the CEO got fired, and the CISO got fired. So they fired 3 guys in there because their stock price got cut in half too. So attacks that can be used to discover passwords, like my man just talked about social engineering. I thought that was beautiful. I saw on the website they asked people to enter their password to test their strength. Social engineering, phishing, shoulder surfing, dumpster diving doesn't exist anymore. In the 80s, you used to do that to figure out what kind of people use, what kind of software they use, and what kind of mainframe they were using. Capturing, like we just talked about, a lot of people brought up the keylogger, protocol analyzer, man in the middle attack, or replay attack. Protocol analyzers, there are a lot of free ones on there, so I can scan the security of my network. It's going to tell me what protocols are being used, what ports are open, what protocols probably being used on those known ports, right? Resetting, attackers can gain physical access to the computer and reset the password, right? So they're trying to get in your password, trying to take over your password console so they can reset your password and lock you out. We institute no before for ongoing security. Oh yeah, we use SANS is pretty good. No before is cool. SANS, they're pretty cheap. We use those for some of our stuff. They were like $3 or $4 a user. SANS is known as one of those organizations that use those too. Offline attack method used by most passwords attack today. Attacker steals password digest, compares their own to their own digest that they have created. Offline password attacks includes brute force, mask, rule, dictionary, rainbow tables, and just password collection. So those are offline because you can steal somebody's Linux PAM file or steal their Oracle user file, right? If you're doing Java or C sharp, usually that's just a table, right? You steal their password table, and you can hopefully it's encrypted, but then you can figure out what the encryption is, right? And then try to unencrypt everybody's but 9 times out of 10 though, you're doing MD5 one-way hash, right? So you're not comparing a password. When the person put the password in, it's gonna hash it to a character, then you're gonna compare that hash to what you stored in the database. So it's not the actual password itself, it's a hash of the password. Game over, Professor. I may be chasing the wrong field. Look like the quick money's inside. Yeah, I was just joking. I was joking. I've joked on a number of channels. And my man just brought it up with the super secret. I was like, it seems like you can easily steal $100 million, especially as I did a video. There's ransomware as a service. You can actually rent it like AWS from the bad guys. They'll give you a key. They'll give you the phishing emails. They'll give you the ports to attack the company. And once you get the money, you just got to get them 30%. Why? You taking all the danger because you contracting the company. You using your computers and IPs to attack the company, right? But they gave you the initial setup and all the services to put on your computer to use to do a ransomware attack, right? You have somebody click on something, encrypt the disk, get 100 million. I'm just joking too, but it's kind of easy. Game over. I'm walking through it. I'm gonna talk you into it. No, I'm joking too, but I just kind of wanted to just let people know how easy it is. Shout out though, not facts though. So yeah, so you can actually rent ransomware as a service. The bad guys are rich with service. Brute force attack. Every possible combination of letters, numbers, and characters used to create an encrypted password matched against stolen file. The slowest method out there. NTLM was a known Microsoft networking protocol, new technology man hash. An attacker can steal the digest of Intel and password and would not need to try to break it. He would simply pretend to be the user and send the hash to the remote system to then be authenticated. This is known as pass the hash. This attack pass the hash has been around, oh my God, for 17 years. A good friend of mine, we was in a Microsoft meeting, and he actually told Microsoft to his face, y'all suck at security because pass the hash been out for 17 years. Why haven't y'all fixed it? So Microsoft wasn't liking me and him for like a year. So I actually had some people from Microsoft that are actually told my boss. They asked who me and my friend think they are saying Microsoft was a piece of crap. But like I said, pass the hash has been around. There's some known stuff to it. So long story short, when you're on a controller, the hash is on that controller. So if I could get on the hash anyway, and if I could steal your hash, it was good like for some crazy amount of time, like a week. So I could take your hash and send it to another system inside a Microsoft network. And like I said, I would be you. It would log me in as you. You could Google pass the hash, been around forever. Game over. I don't have to I don't have to bend my arm here. I'm ready to learn facts. A helmet. I was in a Facebook group and glitched deposit 300 million of crypto by accident. And it changed after 5 minutes. The person didn't try to move it. Yeah. I mean, people. There was one. Oh yeah, if you look, that was actually one of the. I was gonna do a video on that. One company accidentally sent crypto to people in the group of other people's money, so they were trying to force those people to send that money back. They knew they knew who they sent the money through because their programs logged the people inside the group they send the money to. But right directly though, crypto itself is anonymous. Now I know I sent it to you because I'm logging with my system to do right. So they were trying to force people to send it back to the company. So it's easy to make a glitch. So, but that's what I tell people a lot of times when you programming and you dealing with large sum of money or even large companies like Facebook, you can make a mistake and send a couple $100 million out, or you can shut down a global company. It is quite easy, to do that even on accident, right? Mask attack, a more targeted brute force attack that uses placeholders for characters in certain positions in the password. Parameters can be entered in the mask attack, including password length, character set, language, pattern, and skips. Rules attack conducts a statistical analysis on the stolen password that is used to create a mask to break the largest number of passwords, right? So we talked about when you steal all those passwords, what are you doing with them? You're doing statistics so you can figure out which ones are optimal and which ones to try to use to attack somebody. Uh, this shows you the rule attack statistical analysis on level 2 and the rule attack generating mask. I just kind of pause again. It shows the length and how long it would take. These aren't as statistics aren't good anymore. Why? I could spend up 1,000 nodes on Amazon, probably pay a couple $1,000 and run through every combination on the planet in probably 5 or 6 hours at the most, right? Because the speed of attack, right? The number of VMs I can spin up, and to do a password attack, I can use a baby VM. I don't need anything with power, right? I'm gonna use something that I can spin up and use to just to do those combinations, right? So the time and the frequency is not as big a deal, right? So, but the easy thing is, like we just said, if I lock after 10 times, it don't matter how much computer power you got, right? You only get 10 tries, and I'm locking you, right? And two is I'm gonna send an email to the cybersecurity team, right? Because if we get a whole bunch of accounts being locked, or a whole bunch of accounts getting attacked, right? If 100 accounts get locked in 4 seconds, right? Number one, we know that's an automatic brute account. Number three is why are all those accounts getting locked out at the same time, right? So number four is the security team needs to take the system offline or block people logging on until we figure out what's happening to our organization, right? Dictionary attack creates a dictionary, common dictionary words, compares against stolen digest. Premium attacks, a dictionary attack uses a set of dictionary words and compares it with the stolen digest. The birthday attack, the search of any two digests that are the same. All right, so I got the dictionary attack, then I create a digest of passwords I know. Then if I compare it to the system I stole, if those two matches, right, I know which one of my words match to their words, right? So if I keep doing that, I can kind of maybe guess MD5, what characters are they using, right? So you can kind of deduce what kind of password they're using with a dictionary attack. Rainbow tables create a large pre-generated data set of candidate digests. Set up for using a rainbow attack, create a table, chain of plain text password, encrypts the initial password, feed it into a function that produces different plain text passwords, repeat for a set number of rounds, using the table to crack a password. Run encrypted passwords through the same procedures used to create the initial table, resulting into initial chain password. Using the table to crack the password. Repeat starting with the initial password until the original encryption is found. Passwords used as the last iteration is the cracked password. Rainbow table advantage over other attacks can be used repeatedly, faster than a dictionary attack. Uses less memory on the attacking machine is required. Right. So those are some of the different type of password attacks. Let's see, 3 milli. Change 5 minutes. If I accidentally receive money, I don't want to send it back because I don't believe it's wrong to make it right. Fact though that you got to be careful though. Some of those financial laws say you have to send it back. But I'm like you. If you accidentally send it to me, I can accidentally spend it. So I'm with you on that. Yes. Plus, you're in a certain jurisdiction that the money's gone. Fact. Yeah. Two is if it's coming from a different country, right? They're different rules. If anything if any money leaves the United States to any of our foreign adversaries, they're spending our money. I promise you. Yeah. Plus, you're in a no. I know, right? I'm not going like Omni into a Hellcat or stunt. I'm opening a single family office and manages it. Fact. Help me stay quiet. I realized I was gifted a secret thing. Right? My vivid life. What do you suggest for people, not employees, but regular people traveling for pleasure to securely use their laptop? First thing of that is VPN. Second part of that is high-end malware software that you can buy, Norton or McAfee, because you want to capture malware and ransomware. Hopefully, catch any 0 days on that. And two is disk encryption. There's products you can use can automatically encrypt your files on your disk. So if somebody actually stole the drive out your disk, they couldn't put it in another drive. Those are probably 4 or 5 different things. And two is a lot of people are using offline backups. You want to check those offline backups to make sure they're encrypting your data. So if those offline backups get stolen, your data will be protected also. So those are probably the 5 big deals. VPN, disk encryption, good virus protection. That's going to do virus protection, malware. Shout out BitLocker. Yep. BitLocker actually is government approved, FIS 140-2. BitLocker's right up there, right up there. So those are 4 or 5 things I would do. Like I said, I would have a backup, and if you're backing up, I wouldn't back up the cloud, but if you do, make sure they're doing the proper things to keep your data safe for your encryption, right? Because they can hack the backup stuff and steal your data. But from a laptop, those are the things I would do. Password collection in 2009, attacker used SQL injection attack and stole 32 million users' passwords that were in clear text. So that's the big thing. Like we said, you should take the password and save the hash values of the password. You should never have clear text passwords saved anywhere. These passwords provide 2 elements for passwords. Gave attackers a large corpus of real-world passwords. Have provided attackers advanced insight into strategic thinking of users' passwords. Let's see. Let's see. Keep going. Password security, secure password from attacks depending on the users as well. Enterprise for users involve properly managing passwords. For enterprise involves protecting passwords digest. Like we said, it should never be the password. It should be digest. And we talked a little bit about that. Passwords managers came up in the chat, so that's an excellent thing. Managing passwords, most critical for factors and is in a strong password of length. In addition to having long passwords, other recommendations are do not use passwords that consist of dictionary words or phonetic words. Do not repeat characters or use sequences. Do not use birthdays, family member names, pet name, addresses, or any personal information. Also use non-keyboard characters created by holding down an Alt key while using the number on the numeric keypad. Yeah, and I think they're going to show it. You can actually do a omelette, which is a Canadian alphabet number, and save as a password. So you would actually have to do that Alt key on a password to come up with that Canadian character. The only reason I know that years ago is somebody actually put that in on a file with money on it that got sent to the DoD, and it took me 2 days to figure out this hidden character that was a Canadian umlaut. So, long story short, you can dump characters in ASCII and Linux or Windows, and once we dumped it in ASCII, I could see ASCII characters underneath, but it didn't show a character because it was a non-printable character. When you do stuff like that, I'm going to remember that to the day I die because it took me forever to figure out this unseen Canadian umlaut character. So you can actually recreate that on your keyboard. Managing password, do not repeat. Yep, that's what we talked about the keyboard. And I think they're going to show that on the next slide. So yeah, so that's the key character. And I think my umlaut was like right here around those funny looking O's. One of those was an umlaut. So that shows you the window character mapping. When you hold down the ASCII and hit that key, you can do hidden keys. I've never done one because I'm scared I'm gonna forget. Or a lot of times too is some of the OSs doesn't like when you do that. I think Windows is cool. I've never I've never done it on a Linux box. Like I said, that hidden character was in a money file. I got assigned as a special project to figure out why we couldn't run this file through our system. So, will those slides be available? I'm working on that. I'm working on getting my slides available. I got to do some Dropbox or something where to put my files because I don't think you can upload them anywhere on YouTube. So I'm working on that. I will make them available. I got to change them up a little bit, but I will make them available. So for rest, what is your best security on Windows device? Norton, please about. I need to do a little research on that. Well, I work for big companies, so they give me laptops to use. So I get to use government grade DoD encryption. I don't want to say the company, so so I need to do a little more research. I'm leaning towards McAfee, um, but when we did some virus analysis compared to what we use in the DoD and what Norton, no, I'm sorry, what McAfee used, it was only 40% at catching viruses and malwares compared to what we were using in the government. Of course, what we use, we paid $400,000 for. So I need to do a little research on that. I do love Microsoft Defender helmet. I was actually doing a review on Zero Trust network using Microsoft Defender. So yeah, I give a shout out to Microsoft Defender, and it did a lot of stuff the DoD approved of and government approved of. So I'm shout out to Microsoft Defender. I need to do another security review on it, but I definitely give for the money 100% Microsoft Defender. The slide was just talking about what we were talking about. Password managers, technology used to secure passwords. Three types of password managers: password generators, online vaults, and password management application. Protecting password digest. One method is to use assault, consisting of a random string that uses in hash algorithms. Passwords can be protected by adding a random strong to the user's clear text password before it's hashed, making dictionary attacks and brute force attacks much slower and limited the impact of rainbow attacks. On a lot of system we use, yeah, shout out to BitLocker's good. Like I said, that's FIPS 140-2 approved. Uh, uh, I don't know. I need to do some research on that. I don't know. I don't know if somebody in chat is MS Defender free. Is there a free version that you can upgrade to the enterprise version? The one I was looking at, I know it was paid for by the organization, but they had the whole Microsoft suite for security. So on the SALT password, the web server, what we used to do is when you put your password, the web server would actually add 4 characters in the front and 5 characters in the back of your password, then send it on to get hashed for your password. Why would we do that? Right. So if a defender just takes your password and try to do a rainbow attack or brute force attack because they got in the back end, it wouldn't work because we appended extra extra characters onto your password. So that brute force rainbow attack like that, just from shoulder surfing or a key log in your machine, if they try to do it in the back end and not go through the web server, those extra characters wouldn't be added, right? Yep. Shout out Salting. Yeah, that's huge. Like I said, I did Apache and Tomcat web servers. I managed those, and we used those to actually salt the passwords going in. The password gesture is called key stretching. A specialized password use hash algorithms that are intentionally designed to be slower. The two key stretching algorithms is bcrypt and PDF2. Recommendation for enterprises use salt and key stretching. Use a random number generator to create a salt of at least 128 bits. Input the salt and use plain text password in the PDF algorithm that uses a HMAC SHA-256 as a core hash. Performs at least 30,000 iterations on a BKDF2. Capture the first 256 bits of the output as the password digest. Stores the iteration count in the salt and the password digest into a secure password database. Right. So the key thing in there, we just did it static, but if you want to catch the iteration, I got to know how many times you went to the counter and get the salt in the password. So that way when I need to recreate it, I can send it to the generator, but I gotta know how many times this person went through with the iteration count. So right, so we have to say that somewhere so we're having. This is huge now. Yeah, it's kind of plain. Multi-factor authentication. When a user is using more than one type of authentication credentials, what a user knows and what a user has could be used together for authentication. Single factor authentication. You use just one type of authentication. I'm sorry, single factors using just one type of authentication. Most common items used in authentication is token, cards, and the cell phones is the big one. Right. So when I log in, I usually text as a code or a digit or a phrase to your cell phone, and have you added in. But I love it. My bank started does that now. If I log in from a different device or a different purse, right, my bank's gonna send me a code and be like, "Hey, it's been a while. Go to your phone and send me this code so I know you're good and I know you're working." Right. So we definitely getting a little better at security, getting a little better. Let's see. Saltine, I can't say anything is enough, but pretty effective, true. I gotta parent these kids, so I'll see you next time. Thank you for I appreciate it. I'm definitely everybody go check them out. I'm trying to eat better. Shout out to Blind Guy, his wife in there. Like him, if you have a BitLocker, man, you definitely have. Oh, true. Again, peace. Good. Gamer, okay, good. Rest of the cool. Peace. Oh, cool. Caught up in the chat. Uh, the only other questions you and there, we rolling down, getting close to the end. I'll go over anything. Tokens used to create a one-time passcode, authenticated code that can be used only once or a limited time. Hardware token, typically a small device with a window display. Software security token stored on a general purpose device like a laptop computer or a smartphone. Two types of OTP, which is time-based one-time passwords, sync with the authentication server, code generated from an algorithm. The code changes everything in 30 to 60 seconds. The weird thing is, I want to say this is the 90s. They had a thing called a RAS card. It changes the code like every 2 minutes, and they synced it to the server. Some 9-year-old girl broke the code in the 80s. I don't know what she used. I don't know what. So people spending millions of dollars on these RAS computers, and a 9-year-old broke it. So sometimes it's better to have multi layers of security than just have one big security, thing. So yes, I'm chilling. I have Windows 10 and eligible. Yeah, I'm thinking about that Windows 11 upgrade. Um, Thanks, I appreciate that. Good session for me. And Microsoft Authentication app is effective. Even LinkedIn does facts. Everybody's doing a Microsoft Authentication. And two is I'm a big AWS guy. You can set it up for free on any server and they send a code to your phone. You click a couple buttons. AWS, I'm pretty sure Azure does too. I do a lot more AWS. But yeah, you click a button now, you got the MFA, they sending a code to your phone. Um, Two is everybody's trying to help people with security. Right? Two types of OTP, HMAC, one-time password, event-driven, change when a specific event occurs. Advantages over password, token codes change frequently. Attacker will have to crack the code within the time limit. You may not know if a password has been stolen. If a token is stolen, it becomes obviously steps could be taken to disable the account. Right. So if you got a hard token or a token your phone been stolen, right, it's gone because your token's gone or your phone's gone. Right. So like you said, it's pretty obvious. Right. So this walks through the time-based token. So it shows the time, it shows the algorithm, it shows the code. User look up the code on the token, puts the username and code in there for the password. The code matches to the authentication server, right, with the time and the person. It authenticates it back. Then since those two match, it lets you in, right? I like to have the user password as a separate password, and I like to have the code to be a separate item. So you have to have three things, right? But that's me. I'm out there. That's fine. Smart cards. This is what I actually used when I was at DoD. Smart card contains integrated circuit chips that holds information and can be either contact card, a pad that allows electronic access to chip contents. Contactless card or proximity cards requires no physical access. Common access card, we call it CAC, is used by Department of Defense. It's a barcode, a magnetic strip, and it has my picture on it. The smart card standard covering all U.S. government employees is the personal identity verification standard, PIV, meaning everybody has it, everybody in government uses it, so you need your CAC, and this is it. So that shows your CAC card, your picture will be on it, right? And when you put it in there, you put your 4-digit card in there, your 4-digit code in the CAC card, and your email cert would come in there, right? So your cert would come in and it would send it off, right? And that would be, they call it non-repudiation. Since it has your email signing cert, it had your card and your 4-digit PIN, they would say that could be showed up in court because that's actually electronic sign signature. And once again, you had your CAT card, your 4-digit PIN, right? And you had to have the password to get the CAT card ready to read, right? So that would be used for in court to sign a document. Let's see in the chat. My name. Thank you for welcoming me. Oh, good. The more the merrier. You actually you asking great questions and answering great questions. Because once again, I don't know everything. Man, y'all doing probably some newer stuff than me. My old term, I got Rolodex I can reach out to. So my job is to give y'all up into it. Y'all gonna know some of the stuff is newer that I haven't even done yet. So the more the merrier. So like I said, we're trying to get people introduced into cybersecurity, get their toe in the water. And if they like it, let's see if we can help them get into the industry, right? It's more the merrier. The bag is nice. You can work remotely a lot, so it's all good. Cell phones are increasingly replacing tokens and cards. A code can be sent to a user phone. We talked about that. Allow users to send a request via the phone to receive a OTP, one-time transaction authorization code, right? That's just so common now, right? Biometrics, standard biometrics and cognitive biometrics. Standard biometrics are what? Using a person's unique physical characteristics, face, hand, eye characteristics, uh, special biometric scanners, retina scanner using human retina as our biometric identifier, maps the unique pattern of the retina by directing a beam of low energy infrared into the person's eye. Fingerprint scanner, static fingerprint scanner takes a picture and compares the image on the file. The dynamic fingerprint scanner uses a small slit or opening in your computer to actually get those fingerprints in time and in motion, right? Right there, so that comes with a lot of computers now. It used to be an extra cost. It used to be, um, expensive. Now it's part of your everyday system. Yeah, I love all y'all 20 plus years in, but from the infrastructure, I'll shout out there. I'm thinking about becoming an architect on AWS. So I've been toying with that. Do you have a channel, My Vivid? You posting videos? Uh, which is why I raised an I7 for business and school facts. What's the difference between type squatting and farming? I need to look up farming. Type squatting is you take over somebody's I can't even think of that, where they're scanning their code, and inside that code you can put a malicious website or send them to a malware site. I gotta look up a definition of farming. I think I know what it is, but I want to mess that up, Wilton. But type squatting is when you use your QR codes, you can put a malicious link in your QR codes, especially when you go out in the menu. I can send you to a website or a type site with that. And you think it's you going to somewhere else, and I send you to a duplicate site of that and steal all your information from the typo squatting. Shout out to Vivid. The first part of security is I got to get my networking and infrastructure locked down before I start putting applications on top of it. This is one that kind of we thought about doing, but then we thought not better. Voice recognition using a standard computer microphone to identify a user's base of unique characteristics or a person's voice. An iris scanner uses a standard webcam to identify the unique characteristics of that. Facial recognition using landmark called node points on a human face for authentication. What I worry about, it's not a huge worry, is if the company gets hacked and And the hacker steals your voice recognition, your iris recognition, your facial recognition, right, and your fingerprint, right? And they steal that from the company. Am I you now because I have all the characteristics of the files I stole from you? So, so I always think negative, right? So if the company loses your voice, your iris, and your facial recognition, and your fingerprint, right? That's a lot of characteristics of a person that I don't want to put in a bad guy's hands, right? So I know I'm gonna do username and password, and if I do MFA and send it to your phone, but now when you talk about storing voice, iris, facial recognition, and fingerprints, if we lose that, what does that mean for the employee stuff that we lost, right? So I've been kind of toying with that. From That's going to be a lawsuit out of this world if you lost all of that from all your employees. So I'm trying to kind of wrap my hand around that. One of those I would use with the phone for MFA, but all of those, if the company lost all four of those, it doesn't have the thumbprint on there, but that's a lot of that person's identity, right? We as an organization lost. So I'm kind of trying to wrap my heads around that. So biometric disadvantages, cost of hardware scanners, super cheap now. We just have some out of that's true. You're gonna reject some authorized users and you're gonna accept some authorized users, right? There's always positive negatives and negative positives, right? Biometric systems can be tricked, right? So you want to do that too with username and password, send it to their phone, some they have, right? So you want to add some stuff and just not go on biometrics. Cognitive biometrics relates to the perception, thought process, and understanding of the user. Each user is to remember because it's based on a user life experience, difficult for the attacker to imitate. Picture password introduced by Windows. Users select a picture for users, which there should be at least 10 points of interest that served as landmarks. I see that a lot. Pick these lights. Pick this crosswalk. Right. Examples of cognitive requires the user to identify specific faces. User select one or several memorable events. Right. So there's super ways where it'd be hard for an attacker to come up with that information. Right. Picture authentication. It's weird because some of our office equipment we use for meetings, it actually zooms in your face, and once you type your name in it, every time you come in, it knows who you are, right? Because it's using fake facial recognition. I didn't like that. I thought it was creeping me out, but those are options to some of the more sophisticated um, software out there. Behavior biometrics authenticates by normal action by the users. Key dynamics attempts to recognize your typing rhythm. All users types at different paces. Provides up to 98% accuracy. There are two unique variables: dwell time, the time it takes to press a key and release; flight time, the time between keys. Right, holds a great amount of potential. It requires no special hardware, and that's kind of it as you type, right? It's kind of creating this template of what you're doing to kind of figure out, okay, do you fall in this template of your normally typed user? So from that, right, you see the unapproved area, then right down that pipeline is the approved user, right? Is okay, that's your speed, your dwell time, how fast you type, and and how you type. What if you come in a bad day? What if you hurt your hand? What if you stub your finger playing basketball or golf, right? You come in, you won't be able to log on because you're going to be typing slower and typing differently, right? So, geolocation, the identification of location of a person or object using technology. This is used most often in rejecting imposter instead of accepting the authorized user. Uh, User can indicate if attacker is trying to perform a malicious attack of a location different from the normal location of the user. Many websites will not allow the user to access an account if the computer is located in a different state. Some websites may require a second type of authentication, a code sent to a text message to a cell phone. Right. So to this military uses a lot. This app can only be used in this geolocation, right? You can only use this, app in the United States or in the Midwest or in that state, right? So now a hacker has to be, you can spoof IPs from a certain state or from a certain system to make look that makes it looks like you're in that state, but what? Harder, more complicated, makes it more difficult. And that's what we try to do in security, right? It's about the added layers of security that you add, right? All of the security, some of the security could be weak, but if you add extra layers, that's just more things the hacker has to jump through to get to your bot. Identity management using a single authentication credential shared across multiple networks. It's called Federated Identity Management FIM when the networks are owned by different organizations. Single sign-on holds promises to reduce the burdens to users of a password. Examples of that is OAuth, OpenID, and Shibboleth. I think Facebook uses OAuth if I remember right, and I think OpenID was LinkedIn. If I need to Google that to remember those right, but those are widely used on the internet. I'm not a big single sign-on person because once again, if I get your credentials on one for the single sign-on, I can get to any application that you have access to in that organization, right? So I want you to use different passwords on different machines, right? Especially on high-value targets. Right. Managing your user account password can be done by setting password rules. Too cumbersome or managed by user basis. So security risk if one user setting is overlooked. Like we talked about, preferred approach, assign privileges by group policy. Microsoft group policy setting is password policy settings or account lock policies. There's GPO. So once you set the GPO, you can say, okay, this GPO applies for everybody in the organization or everybody in this division, right? Manufacturing might have a GPO different than accounting, right? Because manufacturing actually touching stuff, they got access to uh, specialized software, right? Where accounting, they just gonna do accounting, right? A couple boxes. Other steps to take: shared account, generic password, and guest accounts should be prohibitive. They are prohibited, but some things like SQL Server and Oracle share admin accounts, right? But you can put them on sudo in a Unix box. So when you sudo to that shared account, the Linux box is tracking every command you do. So even though you own shared account, since you logged in under your password, I can log everything under your password name that you did under that shared account, right? Close monitoring privileges, disable account passwords instead of deleting, no longer used. Create strict policy regarding password recovery. Transit trust, a two-way relationship that's automatically created between parent-child domains and Microsoft Active Directory for us. When a new domain is created, a shared resource with the parent domain by default can enable an authenticated user to access resources in both the child and parent domain. Right. So yeah. So in Active Directory, once again, you got to do parent child. And two is those forces and to know how they're communicating. Right. Are they communicating in clear? Are they subject to pass the hash? So there's once again, I did a blue team on Active Directory, so I did the top 20 checks to lock down Active Directory. It's in my STIG playlist. So it's called, yeah, it's like blue team, how you lock it down. So yeah, those are things in there. So that's the summary. So that's it. Let's see. Any more questions? So I'm winding it down. See if y'all got anything more. That's the young me. See if y'all got any more questions. If not, I'm shutting it down. I was on an interview a couple hours before this, so I'm wearing down. So if there's not any questions, once again, if you think of something, you can always come back and drop them in the comment section. The videos, if you look at them and you got questions, put them in the comment section. My goal is to answer every comment on my videos. I'm not that big. I'm tiny, so I usually answer any comment you put in there. And two is go to my community tab, professorblackOps@gmail.com is one word. I try to look at that at least every other day. We can chop it up or set up a meeting, or if you got some question for me, you can shoot it to there. Like I said, that's just gonna take me a ton of time to look it up. Oh, shout out to Kev Tech. I was just sending people your way, man. I appreciate it. I love you too. We were talking about getting into the game, especially with help desk. I'm waiting for Kev Tech to get out his class and get out his books and get out his certification. I'm always sending people, especially even me. He had a Azure series. I learned a lot from it. So even me at the old time, he gave me great information. But newbies trying to get in the game, I definitely send them to Cav Tech because I think help desk is a good way to get into the game, getting started. Use your soft skills. What I'm still struggling at 53, getting my soft skills straight. Once again, I'm glad everybody came out. Check the replay. Once again, if you got a question, you can always put in the comments in the video or hit me up at professorblackops@gmail.com. And I'm trying to take notes from Kev Tech and start doing a little more on my LinkedIn, trying to get my LinkedIn popping a little more. But before I give it out, dog, I got to work on it a little more. I got to work on it. You're welcome. Game over. Everybody have a nice weekend. I hope you're we always gotta go to the basics. Everybody have a great weekend, and once again, like I said, reach out on the replay, put the questions on the videos. Two is, like I said, if I think somebody's doing great things, which a lot of people are doing, I'm gonna send you to Kev Tech, Keep It Techie, Black Heights. My Vivid, you got a channel? I mean, there's a lot of people. If you guys got channels too, if I gave you a wrench, let me give Kev Tech a wrench. Drop them in the chat, man. I don't care. You can always, long as you ain't, um, being disrespectful, you can drop it in there, man. I'm all cool for that. So everybody have a nice weekend. I'm about to take a nap. I'm old. I'm gonna get some food. Everybody have a great weekend and have a great week. I can see Monday's almost here.